Cool. So let's look at the footage from this past Monday. I don't think my camera is nearly as good as James's was, but we should have the permanent camera mounted pretty soon, so you guys won't have to deal with washed out fake GoPro footage anymore. So me and Haley. So Haley right off the bat, like, just bulldogging me to the ground.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I think we got Chris and Zach over here. How's your face, Mike?
It's looking pretty good. Not too bad.
I mean the cut, not your whole face.
Oh, okay. You gotta clarify.
Yeah.
No, that's fine. It hasn't bled, so it's all right.
I think all the blood got out on the mat.
Yeah, I totally bled out on the mat. I love how you just you left enough at the end of this just to see me bleed.
Yeah. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll get to that later. For Haley, so good job, getting to the ground, getting to my back. I want to see earlier hooks. So right from here, you have both hooks in. I don't think that little crab leg was necessary, the one where you just kind of took your hook out to like flip me over. I want you to get to work like right from here. This is good. Maybe even I want your chin like over my shoulder as you go for the hook. But right now, I mean, I might be slipping my hips out to the left a little bit. If that was the case, and that's why you brought the hook out to like roll me, okay. But then you see here, you lose both hooks, and it's going to be a fight to get them back in. So just something to avoid. Try to keep those hooks as you get them, and use your upper body grips first to try to realign. This is not the optimal view. I think Josh probably has some good ideas. Another shoulder day for you, Mike? Inquiring minds want to know.
Every day.
I think Haley ended up getting... Yeah, she sank in a pretty good strength by the end of that. Joe and Josh. Yeah, and for that, I'm kind of being nice with this single leg. So Haley, you're kind of splitting your power here between holding onto my leg and holding onto my neck. And it's better to whole ass one thing than half ass two things, Since you fought for the leg and you got the leg up, I would let go of the collar tie and focus on finishing the single leg, utilizing both of your hands, going to trips, things like that, rather than holding onto my neck and breaking my posture that way. What's going on, Caleb? Yeah. Still gotta work out all the kinks of the AV system. I don't think the timer's even on yet. Yeah, it's not. Sorry, Josh and Joe aren't even doing anything. But Caleb's ready to smash, so. Damn, Jordan coming in hot today. I'll put you in timeout, man. You better be careful. I don't know. It looks like Josh is trying to kiss Joe. Meanwhile, Haley working some of the stuff she learned last week, right? Working into the legs. So I think I had to correct her here just with one thing. This is just a matter of getting the feel down for like that Irimiyashi, but she throws up a leg entanglement here, but not a particularly useful one. So now I switch her legs up into the Irimiashi. She goes, oh yeah, she puts me right down with it.
No, she trained really well that night.
Yeah. Then I think that's Alex and Joe up at beneath the chat.
Yep. I remember watching them train briefly.
So Haley with the double ankle sweep. Joe and Josh still doing nothing. Now Haley's doing a better job of maintaining the lower body control. I still slip my shoulders out a bit, which is why I think she bailed and tried to transition. But we didn't see the legs, like the hooks coming out or anything like that.
Joe and Josh are just dancing.
Yeah, that's cute. Also realizing the timer hasn't been on. Hey man, stand-up rounds can be, you know, very useful, very tiring. We'll just say that's what you guys are doing.
Didn't get sweated.
Yeah. So I believe that was a move we did that night. Haley pulled guard and went for the close guard Kimura. And then I just kind of did this to illustrate to her, maybe to help you guys remember what happens with the double ankle sweep when you get caught with it. You go ahead and fall because you're going to, but you pinch your knees together to make it difficult for them to sit up. Then you could split the legs, come around for cross ashi, and get to work from there. Joe, I like what you're doing. You're trying really hard to disrupt Josh's base, bringing him down to his knees to avoid getting off balanced. Good work disrupting the head for the. You could tell which side Josh was looking to go to for the body lock. But Josh wasting no time trying to get to mount. Good bridge. All right, now the round started. Yeah. Got to take the back with Kimura, but he ends up getting my back. Yeah, if you're using that Kimura for like the Kimura trap back exposure, back take kind of thing, through that whole transition, if he manages to slip his elbow out, like you lose the whole move essentially, which may have been what happened. I missed it when you guys did it. Here, okay. So you're up on the Kimura, and you go out of frame. Exactly what I needed to see happens off frame. I don't know how you guys end up in this position. This is interesting. Great movement from Josh, though. That was
reversing
cool.
the position.
Yeah,
that was good.
Damn. Well, we'll never know what happened. Yeah, Joe definitely doesn't work out enough. Look at Danny trying to buggy choke Braden.
Hillbilly.
Pretty sure Danny owns a form of transportation that he probably refers to as a buggy, so it works out for him. Makes sense. Meanwhile, Caleb and James are front and center. Caleb working a real similar position to what we saw him working on me, I think on the last stream, where he ended up getting the Kimura.
Yeah, kind of like that reverse position, reverse Kesa, but in half guard.
So looking to get, I don't know why you didn't just step your foot out there. It looks like you two are jawing with each other though, so. And before we get too far from it, there was a moment here, Caleb, where I thought you were looking to maybe transition to legs. This is a great position to do that from, and I think you know this move. I think we've talked about it, but right here where you're hooking the leg with your right arm, that's a really good thing to do. If you want to look to go to the legs, I would establish that hook and then immediately step your left leg, your what I'll call your head side leg, as opposed to the foot side leg, which is entangled right now. Step that leg onto James, shin across the stomach, holding that underhook that you have with your right arm, and use that as you turn the corner. You can base out with your left hand and kind of slowly turn the corner around into either reverse ashi if you want to stop there, but I tend to go all the way into cross ashi. But that's a really great position, really great way to enter a very powerful leg entanglement. But it looks like you end up getting the legs open and use it to pass the guard, which is also a great option. And you could do both. Like once you get that shin across his stomach, you can still use that position to transition to either to side control, maybe even into mount very quickly. So maybe play with that and force him to decide if he wants to be in cross ashi or pinned. Yeah, sorry, Joe. No one believes you. I don't know, James and I finally get ours. Is that you and Josh? Yeah.
Yep.
He's doing a great job walking your knees away, trying to flank, but he can't get the head across your center line. Oh, one more time. You just look so effortless. You're like, is anybody there? All right.
I think Braden was over here in the corner.
And then right into cross ashi.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a fun sweep.
I think we make our way to center, James. It just got packed there right at the beginning. If I miss anything, just say something. Now everybody's crowding around to see how you break Josh's leg.
Yeah, they were asking me questions about how, like, what he should be doing and kind of like what I would be going for here. And so in this position, Josh was actually doing a really good job of trying to get out with his left leg. Josh, what we didn't really comment on, I can't remember if we did or not, but if you look at the way that your right leg is facing, there's full heel exposure here. So if I were to dive down with my right arm, I have a pretty solid heel hooking position, because I have your ankle fully exposed, so I can go in on the attack. But what you're doing really well is that left foot of yours is actually against my calf / inner thigh, like right at my knee joint, and it's pushing my knee to where it's facing over by Cole. And what that does is it doesn't give any stickiness to this position anymore, right? I have that reaping leg, but I don't have anything clamping your knee down like at the knee joint, and that's a problem for me. Good for you. And so I think when we're talking through all of this, I'm explaining that that's my goal right here. Like if Josh is actively trying to get out of this position, my goal is to get my right leg driven behind his knee, so that I can create a big bend in the leg, which is exactly what I do there, right? Like we reset and then I drop my leg and pop it right back up underneath your knee, and then I have it fully captured. So now I'm kind of waiting out. I'm trying to determine a reaction. If you roll through, I've got to beat you to roll through. If you don't, then I have full heel exposure. And then we talked about how to reset from there, or how we were going to reset.
Let's see. Brandon and Zach. So Brandon, little
he's
easy.
Been working on his single legs.
Yeah, he's got a little easy shot on the leg, cuts his angle. It looks like he drives Zach pretty well, and then Zach throws up this Kimura from bottom half guard, which looks really good. God, keep coming up, Zach.
Yeah, he just has to push off with that back leg.
Yeah.
He's got his legs locked though.
Yeah, at this point, Zach, like you have the sweep just about. Like you just need a little bit more to take him over. It looks like you're getting there. That was yours, man. One little thing I'd brush up here is when you go for it right here, I want to see your top leg kicking through. I don't want your own knee in between you and Brandon anymore. So right there, you could probably get away with it because I mean you're a tall guy, so like it's a little less of an issue. But I would rather just be as deep over that arm as I can, and the way that you make that happen is by getting your legs out of the way. You kind of have to relinquish your knee shield at that point. Now it comes out. And this is good. You also get the benefit of being able to bring your elbow a little closer to his elbow for that real powerful finishing leverage. But you need to, again, get that leg out of the way early. But then here, yeah, it's just a matter of unlocking the legs. It looks like you're kind of holding on to the leg for the position, but you can let that go. Brandon's staying really composed, though.
Oh, yeah. Pass the guard.
Speaking of Brandon, Caleb and Brandon had a nice exchange. Caleb swept Brandon over here with a Maki Komi, working his way to dorsal position. I assume setting up the Kimura. Nope, switching to the armbar. Nice, really nice, Caleb.
Very nice.
Danny rolling with Andrew, I think.
Or Jason.
It might be Jason, yeah. James was smashing me so bad here. Just all the pressure into my face. Oh, you're okay. See, I just want to see how Brandon managed to get to mount here from side control. It's just a big step over, maybe. Yeah. And Zach, a super easy thing to shut that down is just bringing your, in this case, your right knee, whatever leg is closest to his hips, just bringing your right knee right up to his hip, like getting your foot off the ground. It's kind of it's just a little tiny roadblock to prevent the step over. It's not like a surefire thing, but you'll just see guys doing that just to block any sort of easy step over like that. You guys are weird.
How did you reverse that position? What did you wind up doing?
With James?
Yeah. You were in side control. Oh, armpit push.
Maybe. So with the armpit push, I typically only go for that when they're all the way across my hips, whereas James is much more crossbody right now, and he really was smashing me. I think I was thinking the shoulder push, but James just makes like a little jump over, it looks like, and I just use that opportunity to get my leg in. I kind of go
Gotcha.
I go fishing with my my near leg and that side control escape that you guys hate. And then as he goes to reposition, that just lets me get my leg in much more easily. And then with that tight waist grip, I believe I just kept like my ear right on his chest and got up to a more athletic position and just took him over.
Nice.
Jordan with the sweep, I think.
Yep.
Damn, dog. Quite explosive. I think so. Andrew, it just looks like you got caught with your weight in the wrong spot. You're kind of, your hips are up high. It looks like you're basically just over his shoulder line, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I don't think, looks like you're digging on his arm, so you don't really have a base out in that direction. And Jordan just times it well. Brandon fighting real hard for the Katagatame.
Got it.
Nice. Yeah, there it is. And then, meanwhile, James and I get into... that's right. He did a good job here off balancing me. And then, we get into this little leg lock fight. I think I go in on a Remy.
And then the outside heel hook.
Yeah. I told him I'll mess his other leg up. I won't touch the left one, but I will assault the right one. That was a nice little single leg I wasn't expecting.
Oh yeah. And he does the Daniel.
Yeah. Like you get one last sweep in on Josh before the time.
Yep. I don't think he was feeling very good that night, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, how were you feeling, Josh? I think you missed a little bit of class there at the end. So I'm going to point this out now just because I was having fun with this. But so I was working with this collar tie and faking to either like a knee tap or an ankle pick, and then just slamming the collar tie down to the mat. So just a heavy variation of a snap down. But I worked this a few times through the night and really, really liked it. And then, you know, you either get the snap down and go to your front headlock, or if they posture back up, you know, it's a great opportunity.
Legs.
Exactly. We go, you know, single leg, double leg, even using those to get into a leg entanglement. Had some tacos in those, but beautiful. So you could see setting up with the collar tie, wrist control. All right, that one was just a heavy snap. At some point, I start going for those knee taps or ankle picks to get it to work a little better. Oh, and that was
Or double.
Yeah, that was like the double entry where from two bicep, two bicep over ties or bicep ties, whatever. Pull them over you as you lower your level, and then that brings their hips closer to you. You don't have to shoot quite as deeply because you're really bringing them to you, and then just drive through on your shot, cut your angle, whatever you got to do. Joe showing Haley the shoulder push. Oh, yeah. Yeah, when you guys were talking.
Yep.
Yeah, just split squat passing strategy, essentially. Soon enough, man. Cole's doing push-ups now, dude.
No way.
Coming along.
Whoa.
Sound more enthused. Whoa. All right, so Brandon and Brandon. So not bald Brandon. Looks like he's really trying to work getting the arm across the center line, which I love. Get out of the way here. So he's really working with that 2-on-1 wrist grip to try to get Brandon to get his arm across. But bald Brandon's very strong. It's a difficult thing to do.
Yep.
I got a triangle on Andrew. I don't remember how I set it up. I think it was okay. It was just from mount.
Yeah, Brandon found the Kimura's. Oh, okay. He's gonna go for the Kimura trap, and now he's just gonna go straight for the armbar. See if he can finish it.
All right, collecting the far arm.
Trying.
Yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't really have to. Good. He just went straight to the end of the lever, and then falling towards the head side to break the grip.
Oh, so he was looking for the gift wrap? Or the,
He was, yeah, I think he was kind of looking for a dorsal Kimura and then just opted to
I mean, he's not
go
over
straight
the head.
into the arm. Right. Yeah. He went in to like lock up a Kimura grip and then was kind of like, I'm just going to go elbow deep.
Yeah, I mean, he's right there for the armbar. Yeah,
Right.
So this gets annoying when your opponent's like totally stiff arm their forearms like this. I like what Brandon's trying to do though, to like gather the far arm. That's where you're gonna see the exception to the rule about like crossing ankles when you.
Yeah, that's what I do.
Yeah, it's a great opportunity to break a rule, right? But yeah, I think he makes a good adjustment here. Like when he can't get that, he immediately starts switching to attack at the wrist. Like you were saying, he goes down at the end of the lever. And then one other little thing you have to note in these grip fighting battles is which way their grips are. So if you think about it, the hand that's protecting Brandon's like primary screwed arm right now, the grip of that hand is very weak in this direction. So when Brandon makes that switch, he starts pulling in this direction. But if not bald Brandon had his hand switched the other way, where the grip was stronger if it was weaker in this direction, then this falling to the head still could work, but it probably wouldn't be quite as effective. So this was a good read on which way to fall, and how to attack the grip to get the separation. And then as soon as he gets it, he doesn't waste any time in finding the very end of the lever. Immediately goes to control the elbow, the wrist, and gets the tap. And that was also a good defensive attempt from Brandon, trying to fight out of that. You just have to, I don't know, it's tough. Like once somebody has the end of my arm, I'm less willing to try turning escapes. But I don't know. I think you can get away with that in the training room. Most of us aren't gonna like rip those arm bars on you. So maybe get a little bit more comfortable with that if you want to practice your armbar escapes. And then for Haley, the leg configuration here with Joe. So here, so we can kind of see what's happening. Yeah, there we go. So you make the turn. Now Joe's elbow is pointing in towards your hips. That's what's going to get your break. But the other part here, I'd like to see the leg going across the face. Now, if you guys were just like being, good training partners, whatever, like loosely working on stuff, that's fine too. But if you're, when you're working on the finishing mechanics of that armbar, make sure you're adding in that cross-facing leg to really like build the habit of that head and shoulder control. Damn, you guys throwing some hard accusations. It's funny, Josh is the one who brought in the sharps container to the school, but he's saying Cole uses syringes. And since this goes online in perpetuity, no one at the school is using steroids. So let's make that perfectly clear. Now Haley's into, there we go, triangle. But I think she was fighting for the armbar. It was good. Caleb has another Another great round with me. It's getting old. He had 2 really great takedowns.
It's a nice pass by Josh on Danny. Danny goes in with an underhook, but he's on, yeah, just lost the sticky hook. He's trying to go for that reverse Sumigashi or Yoko Sumigashi. And honestly, Danny, if you're watching this, I think the Yoko Sumigashi works better if you have the hand across the body. If you see that Josh can post with his left hand here, and it's letting him kind of move his hips the way that he wants to move his hips rather than the way that you want him to move his hips. And, so if you had that arm trapped across your body and going into the Yoko, I think it would have been fine. You would have at least been able to launch him and then possibly gotten back up on top. But here he's just able to base out, take a really big high step over, and get past the guard. At least on this one. I do the same thing though. When people go for that, the overhook, or I get the underhook on them, I still try it. Damn, that was a nice one.
Yeah, it was a good counter.
Dayashi. Yeah.
Basically,
So you go for a Dayashi.
yeah, and then he hits me with like a Sasai. Right, he's got his overhook, so his overhook is pulling, and he gets a hand right under my armpit to push me around as he hits his own foot sweep. So
so he takes his right foot across. So he backsteps out. Yep, I got you.
yeah, so it was like a Sasai counter. Yeah, it was really really nice.
Tsubume
Tsubami Geishi.
Geishi.
Yeah, I guess because I kind of led with my own attempt at the foot sweep. Because that's the Tsubami Geishi's the thing Pinball told us about a while back, where like someone foot sweeps you, you pull your foot out of the way and then counter foot sweep them.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I didn't want to accept that though, so I really tried to scramble up, shoot a single leg, try to hit the sweep single, but didn't make it all the way around.
So Caleb, the tight waist here is good, but I want you to see from here that you have access to Matt's legs. So you're coming up, I don't mind you driving now, but I really want you to start like left hand across to the left ankle. Like I want you starting to fight down at the lower part, rather than hanging out at the hips when he's already down. I think this would give you a better chance of basically keeping him from standing, right?
Yeah.
Like just keeping him down on the mat.
Yeah, and I set up early on for this. I hit, I think like a counter Uchimata from this like kneeling position. So I really, really like, ever since I saw Craig Jones start using it, I like this over the back grip to the far lat. And if you guys feel me doing that to you, you could almost bet I'm looking to either Uchimata or Haragoshi you, which is all I'm waiting on here. I'm based out. I'm kind of waiting to see when Caleb is going to lift his right leg up and like start driving towards me to get the takedown. And once he does, that's where I'm starting to hit my counter. So in this case, he gets his left leg up, so I go for the Uchimata and then take him over and manage to keep top position, at least for a little bit. Gavin got a round going.
Yeah. Him and his brother are just always fun to train with.
Yeah. So I think we can get Haley pretty quickly spun up on some like really automatic leg entanglements, which I think would be very good for her. She seems to be very comfortable working like seated versus standing, shooting her legs up to entangle an opponent's legs. You just gotta get the positions kind of straightened out. Oh, there's the fruits of my labor on that takedown, getting Caleb with an outside heel hook. So yeah, Haley, maybe I know you're frequently asking about, you know, good feedback, all that stuff. I still excuse me, I still stand by what I say about always brushing up on your positional escapes as a white belt, which you know, this is a good instance of you practicing that with Joe. But jiu-jitsu isn't fun if you're just practicing not getting beat up all the time. So if there's some offensive stuff you want to work in, if legs are a spot that you're curious about, then we could definitely work in on that. Otherwise, I saw you working a lot of you know, triangle positions, arm bars, what have you. So I say pick an offensive, you know, pick a submission and like let that be your offensive focus that keeps jiu-jitsu fun. And then, you know, 80% of the time, the rest of the time, make sure you're working your position escapes. What did Danny do? Danny hurt Josh. Ooh, a little compression choke, maybe? I don't know, Josh, what was that?
Looked like it.
Yeah. And Jordan's trying to rip off Ronnie's leg up there in the top side of the screen. Americana. Oh, okay. Ooh.
Darce?
Josh looking to darce the darcer. Danny's having none of it.
Against the armbar.
Counter armbar. You want what? Ronnie's leg to get ripped off or Danny to be darced? Because both sound kind of fun. Danny. I like that they're going over the finer points of the darts anyway after that, so that's good. And did I only get the one? I think I only got the one heel hook on Caleb. Oh, wait, but yeah, no, we got to give Caleb his credit. He hit me with another great takedown again, right at the end. So, just a really nice foot sweep from here. It was annoyingly crisp when he hit it.
Yeah, that was slick.
Yeah, he's loading me up, and then hits a quick switch off the, switching from the wrist grip up to just like, not clubbing me in the head or anything, but right here, this is such good timing. And Caleb, I don't know if you necessarily saw this because I don't see you looking down, but you caught me in a very vulnerable moment where my feet are very close together. Right, yep. I take this step in. I may have not even fully planted on that foot yet. It honestly doesn't even matter. It looks like you just blocked both of my feet.
Yeah.
My ankle twists up really nicely there.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a.
I didn't feel
you
it.
either trying to stay planted or he lifted you off. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, straight up pinball. It was such good timing, and he switches. Yeah. I love the switch from the wrist grip to the head to just take my head out in this direction while he takes my feet in that direction. It brought a tear to my eye to have my
Sole of the foot.
my little
It
son,
wasn't a
who's
kick.
twice my weight, finally take over daddy, who's half his size. It's only taken a couple years. Let's see. Yeah, you are gonna regret showing him that, Danny. I didn't. I only felt you heavy on the side. Whoops. Let me speed this back up again.
Not all. Well, I'd say pinball is the only one that's not in the not at our school.
Yeah. First off, Century, thank you for the follow.
Yeah.
And
Thank you.
and
Welcome.
thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I mean, like, so certainly, like, a lot of the people in the chat are going to be our students. But this, of course, you know, it's Twitch. It's open to everybody. So we're all here just talking about whatever techniques we're working on at class, whatever we see on the stream. We've had a few viewers who aren't our students send in footage before, competition footage, rolling footage. We review that stuff too, if you're ever interested. But yeah, in general, we just stick up a camera and talk jujitsu for an hour or so. Sometimes we have viewers. Oh yeah, I just said that. God. Yeah, see, all of our students are welcoming.
Yep.
And pinball helps us out with all the judo terms. I can't remember. Pinball, have you competed? Have we talked about that in the past? Or do you ever compete these days? Want to find a place for people to talk about BJJ? Dude, you found it. Yeah,
Yeah.
hang out. Most importantly, man, like we do this for the viewers, not just for our students, but for anybody who watches. So if you're super new and you have questions, or you're like, what the hell is ashigarami? What are these words you keep saying?
And join the club because I don't know either.
Yeah, we just make it up as we go.
Yeah.
Josh being he's the first one to ever cheer in the chat. He cheered one bit. Thanks, buddy. I thought you were supposed to be able to do like text to speech messages with bits. I don't know. Anyway, Century, yeah, feel free to ask any questions, anything you see that you want us to go over. Anything you're going over, we're happy to talk about it, man.
Yep.
Competed in judo and open grappling tournaments. Yeah, no, I get that.
Totally.
I mean, I'm 35. Like, my desire to compete definitely took a dive. I don't know. It's kind of like if we get enough guys at class to sign up, I normally throw my hat in the ring. But man, it's just like it's a long Saturday. Typically, like we get there, we have to coach, and then we compete. It's just like it's a
Hectic
lot.
day. Yeah.
It could be a lot. But it is a great way to test whatever you're working on. Braden gets me with the Anaconda.
Yep. Oh,
Okay, yeah, that's
you fixed it.
yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. You're right about that, Caleb.
yeah, God, new breed. So yeah, Braden hits this gator roll on me, setting up his Americana, but he keeps his hands in closer to, like, he keeps the gable grip essentially and starts putting the squeeze on there. And I didn't want him hanging out there. I don't want that to become a habit. So I have him switch to the rear naked grip, right? It's exactly like a rear naked strangle. I want you bringing, the hand, what we'll call the locking hand, bringing that to where your ear is. And that will put on an extremely tight hold. Yeah, right there. This is where it gets super tight. And then who was I talking about? Oh, I was talking about this with Austin. Because Austin's been hitting gator rolls just kind of for funsies at this point. So he'll take you all the way through, or he'll stop and how do you text to speech here? I don't know. It should read it maybe in a second. Either way, I don't know. I'll play with that. I'll see if I can get that working, because I kind of want you guys to be able to do that. Interrupt me with some stupid computer voice message. In any case, the danger here is getting this trapped, your opponent getting their elbow down of the trapped arm. If they bring that down to their ribs, that's where you start to lose the strangle. So I was talking to Austin about this. This is where you stop where Braden is on your back, and you could either roll up to mount like Austin likes to do. That's the thing he's been doing. Or if you want to finish the anaconda, use this top leg, or what would be your outside leg if you were flat on your back, and gather that arm up to keep it up elevated above my head, and then get your anaconda strangle locked in.
The Sentry, you could definitely get the rear naked grip before you roll. However, we've noticed, or at least I've noticed, on like bigger guys, it's sometimes harder because they base out really wide and turtle. So I actually use a gable grip, and then I use my elbow to block their elbow, and then I hit the roll by like diving my head through the hole. But yeah, you can hit it, but I would say that's generally going to work, and this is broad strokes. You could hit it on somebody bigger than you, right? But normally that's going to happen on somebody your size or smaller. And Caleb, my eye's good. It hasn't bled. It's stayed patched up, so it's fine. Looks like I've got a little bit of eyeliner right here, which I might.
Stay tuned for the new emoji that I'll be making for all subscribers.
Yes.
It'll be, let me see if I could. There we go. We're gonna crop that out and make that an emoji for you guys.
Yeah.
I just want to look at this because I hit this on Braden, and I was like, I don't even know how I did it. Every once in a while, I decide to play with like a Berimbolo, ninja roll style, whatever. This is normally you're gonna see like ninja rolls from when you're in a 3/4 mount. This time I didn't have that. 1 bit doesn't work, and 100 bits doesn't work. I might hear about it. Also, I don't know, man. I'm not sure why it's not talking. I don't know. I'll work on it. It might just take a few seconds too. But in this case, I use my outside leg rather than what would be the trapped leg in 3/4 mount. So I hook and I hit my roll. You can see I'm hooking with my left leg there to get the
nice
little Berimbolo. And then I just make fun of him in his ear. Where are you from, Sentry? Where do you train? I'm surprised that you say BJJ isn't popular where you are. Joe wants royalties. Oh, really?
Mexico. Yeah. Okay.
That's surprising. I mean, I guess I don't know. I guess, you know, if you're by like a big urban center, then maybe you'd have better luck.
That makes a lot more sense. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely boxing. That makes a lot of sense. Yeah, we only have 3 schools in our area, but we're the best ones, so. All right, man, I feel like I'm missing a lot of stuff. Let's look at you and Andrew here.
Yeah, he was doing a good job. He threw up what I think he may have thought was like a trap triangle or something, and so I start stepping around. I'm trying to see if I can jump into a half guard here and back out, and then I'm coming around, and I'm trying to walk around to the other side, and as I'm throwing his legs over, he throws both of his legs up and traps me into like this teepee style choke. And so I immediately do. Did we do this in class that day? The stack pass.
Maybe.
I think we did the stack
we
pass.
did. Yeah. We went over double under. Yeah, double under pass.
So I'm starting to go double under. I have his hips in a good spot, so I start stacking, and then I use my left shoulder to drive to his nose, and get his legs to go by. Boom. Now, obviously I'm in a side control position, but I feel his far arm underneath my arm, so that sets me up for a dorsal. A brief dorsal, which then I go into the, I lock up the Kimura grip and then go straight in for the finish.
Check in on some leg lock progress with Braden here. I know, I believe I went over some of this stuff, little nose pinch with Gavin on the same night, I think.
Nice.
So yeah, here he's already got. He's not reaping me, at least not like really bad, till now. There we go. So it gets me rolling, gets the heel exposure, and then just about gets. We're getting closer to where I want your legs, Braden. But really, I want them behind my back. Like I want your heels behind my back. That's going to ensure good knee penetration. Like my knee will be very deep past your knee line, which you should know by now is super important. And it's also going to give you a greater ability to hip into the heel hook, right? And put on some really nasty braking pressure across my knee. When you're hanging out down here, I don't even necessarily care what kind of grip you have on my heel. This is a little bit closer for me to slip. So I think I was letting you work a little bit here. Got the tap. Yeah, I wanted you to come over on that. So we're getting there. It's getting better.
Yeah, I have to lay down the pressure on Andrew. He'll explode out of bottom position. It's frustrating.
Yeah, he's stronger than he looks. Joe giving Brandon the treatment here. So going from the rear naked strangle, switching up to the armbar. Oh, no. Psych going for the Americana, which I believe we went over that Americana variation at class as well.
Yep.
Joe's doing something a little different here than we did in class, which isn't a bad thing. In class, we talked about having the top leg over the back. That's going to be used to control posture. In this case, it looks like it has slipped over, which wasn't a bad thing if you were initially going for an armbar, which you were here. So you switch from that rear naked strangle. It makes sense why your leg would be in front of the face. But if you can hang your weight through that shoulder, say hang loosely, it's not like you're picking yourself up off the ground. But if you could put your weight through that shoulder, that's going to keep his posture broken down. And then you make a really good adjustment here. Instead of attacking the straight arm bar, you keep a bend in the arm, and now you can use it against your hips and chest and stomach to hit an Americana. And props to Brandon for always smiling even when we tap him out. Jesus. Nicest
Dude's
guy.
always happy.
Went armbar to omoplata. It's not planned. Hey man, some of the coolest stuff is never planned. So what I was saying earlier about that snap down knee pick fake, this is what I do with Braden here. So heavy collar tie. Braden's setting up that same stuff you were talking about, that he likes to do, where he flares the elbow open and then takes a shot. So I go fake on the knee pick to get his leg back, and then just continue taking his head downward and get the snap down. I think Joe and I have like a fun leg lock shootout in this round or something.
Yeah, I think I remember hearing it. I really like that throw by that you're trying to.
I'm trying,
going
man.
for there.
We talked about that. You were in a very similar position last time, the
Yep.
last stream. But yeah, I think what I'm not doing is bringing their body down. Like I'm setting them too far. I'm sending them
Away.
straight ahead instead of straight and down, like down towards the mat.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm really just like throwing them by me completely as opposed to like opening up anything on it. But like you gotta send them downwards with the collar tie on the other side, and then like pull them down as you cut your angle. Hit Gavin with the roll, and he wanted to see it. What'd you do? You did what to Gavin?
Oh, you showed him a roll.
Oh, the Maki Komi?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you. Great. Thanks a lot, Caleb. I swear to God, if I get Maki Komi'd by a 13-year-old, I'm coming after Caleb.
I'll laugh. It'll be all right.
I'll laugh, but I'll be crying inside. No, that's awesome. Now, what's going to be super cool, Caleb, is we see footage of him hitting one in competition.
This is me, Caleb. They're just more and more tiring rolls.
Yeah. Got Andrew and Haley as well. I think was Joe trying to break my foot there? So he came up on.
Yeah, toe hold.
Yeah.
Well,
So
Was
we
it
ended
toe?
up in like a rear crucifix position, but
Oh.
I believe he spins towards me. Like he gets out of it by spinning towards me.
nothing happens at all when we go off stream. Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, so he stuffs my single leg attempt, or maybe I went in for a double leg, but I wasn't gonna give up on it. So I try and hit this. I try and hit a sit out.
I can't believe you tried.
The only reason I attempted it was to get my head over to a side. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I can go in for a double leg. And then he tries to crack me down. And again, like, notice I'm switching. I keep my head on that side. So I'm pinned onto his side. He goes to crack me down. I get back up, and I notice that my head's on that side, and his leg is really close to me. So I just come right up, I step up, and I hook the leg and take him over into a sweeping position. I don't even know what that would be considered, but
Yeah.
I guess it's a sweep.
Yeah, I mean his butt's down and yours is up.
That stood out as ridiculous.
Yeah,
to
I
try
don't,
and hit.
I don't bother trying to sit out on Caleb. Joe gets me with a great counter heel hook from 50-50. So actually, I don't even know if I could call it a counter. He sets up the 50-50, I believe. And I have both feet in here, trying to stay safe with it. Here he gets heel exposure. I'm trying to kick my leg free. It's just not happening. So he gets the tap. Good, really good inside heel hook. Let's see how Chris handles the armbar.
Oh yeah.
See if Brandon gets out of this. Oh, they're going off screen, of course. I'd like to show Chris the 3/4 armbar position. I think that would have fared him well here, right? Because he's using his leg to push on the bicep, but I think he loses control over Brandon's head. You know, Brandon's having a much easier time sitting up at this point. And in fact, I would, man, if I were Brandon, go ahead.
Chris is at a point he should just slip his right heel off the bicep and go for the triangle.
Absolutely. Meanwhile, Brandon, I think, is at a point where he can open his grip. So if you look, Chris's control over that arm is totally north of the elbow. Like he has nothing between the elbow and the wrist. So he's not going to get Brandon's arm extended immediately. Like if Brandon lets go of his grip, his arm isn't flying by into a quick armbar. So when he lets go of his grip, he can fight to get these legs off of his head, like getting the cross-facing leg off of his face. And once you lose that, you're almost completely out of trouble with the armbar. There are variations on that position that can still catch you. But yeah, they could both stand to sharpen up their offenses and defenses here. The triangle is right there, yeah, 100%. And that's the cool part about the 3/4 armbar is you slip that through, but you just kind of cross your ankles into the side of the neck as you're seated working for the armbar. If they do manage to send you to the side, you know, force you back, easy transition to a triangle. But it's also very hard for them to do that. It's difficult for them to move you from that position. I think we just relocated over here. What did I do with this throw by? Oh no, that was just that was your over tie bicep tie snap. So right from here, setting up my over tie, setting up the bicep tie, and then just quick snap to the ground, giving him my leg like an idiot. Never end up with
but you end up on top.
Oh, fair. Yeah, I know what you mean. Do you keep your body side leg, like do you keep the foot wedged under the body as opposed to like crossed over the body?
Like a quarter juji?
Yeah.
The judo one.
I'm always chasing the triangle. Gotcha.
Yeah.
So I'm really, really trying to dig for a reverse ashi here. I'm not in a great spot for it, though. And we got Haley and Mount against Andrew. Pretty simple tripod sweep. So I was really, Mike, honestly looking for shin to shin stuff here.
Yeah.
But Joe was just doing a good job, like pressuring forward and forcing me to work from my back rather than from a seated position. So I just say, all right, fine, I'll just go for the tripod.
Yep.
You almost got Caleb's arm across the center line there.
Yeah, almost is the key word. I was like really banking on this head and arm being just painful enough for him to want to like swim over top, and he just was not taking that bait.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying this pendejo style guard here with Braden, but I can't get. He stays so low on me. It's very difficult for me to get anything going.
Yeah, you couldn't get your top leg over.
Yeah. So I wound up just going in, but since he stayed low, he gave me access to the other leg. So I was like, okay, well, I could go in for like a deep half variation instead.
What did Danny just front flip over Haley? Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
So Haley has him in that guillotine that we've
in the guillotine
come to learn she's very good at. So he skips over her leg and then hits a forward roll completely over her body, nicely avoiding
planting with his feet.
Smash it. Well, yeah, he doesn't smash her face with his back like he probably would have happily done to any of us. And then turns toward her, ends up back at her guard.
Pendejo guard pinball is Craig Jones's name for it. Idiot guard, whatever.
It's a false reap position essentially.
Yeah, it's really it's a false reap, exactly. That's what it is.
Yeah, we're not making up names like 10th Planet or anything.
We're just calling them the same made up names that everybody else does.
Yeah. Look at Brandon trying to break some ankles here.
That's good.
So, A for effort, Brandon. So right now you are in an outside Ashi. Caleb has his, let's see, he's got his ankles crossed. I don't think Caleb's too concerned right now. It's going to be very difficult for you to set anything up with this leg in the way, which is probably why Caleb's just taking a sweet time right now and slowly setting up a counter heel hook on you. Yeah, I agree. After you threw Gavin around last week, I got jealous. I had to do it this week.
I hit a Haragoshi on Braden. That was pretty
Just
fun.
Now?
Yeah, early on in the match. I think it's right here. Maybe? No.
You about go for one.
I did it. It was early. He actually double legs me. He dumps me later. Oh yeah, that was
nice
cool.
I'm curious how you set that up.
I was trying to get his right leg to step forward, and because he really likes those over ties, and the over tie's not doing anything for me, like preventing me to reach down and snatch the ankle.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, he just kind of I get his head weighted down, and then I know he's going to start going off to rebalance with the other leg. So then I just pull this one straight out from underneath him.
Yeah. Nice.
Here, this is where he dumps me.
Oh, all right.
Yeah. So he just goes straight in, solid posture, gets right up underneath me. You see that leg? Like, do you see how he steps that middle leg through to get directly underneath me so that he could lift me up? That was a good switch right there. His right leg.
Yes.
Boom.
Super subtle movement, but it puts a lot more power into the pickup.
It does.
And I like his little. He just like bats your arm out of the way as he shoots in for it.
Yep.
So Gavin and I are working off. He's just barely off screen over the leg lock positional stuff. that I was talking about earlier, but you can at least see what I'm talking about, Braden, with trying to make sure that the heels get into a good position to give you a good bite so that you could thrust your hips into the heel hook. And Braden, if you ever get yourself or find yourself against an opponent who is inverting like this, so Mike's taking you a little off balance with this, I don't want to see you go back to his legs. Like, you basically just give Mike the guard right here. You circle back. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're getting off balance. Looks like you get tripped up over your own left leg there. But man,
I'm pushing on his right leg as well.
Okay.
Or yeah, his right leg. You see my left arm has his knee, and I'm pushing it away.
I see. Okay. I'll take a little bit of the blame off of Braden then. But yeah, anytime Mike rolls around like that in front of me, I mean, like, I'm immediately trying to throw my hips into the side of your hips to, like, get your legs as far away from you as possible, get back exposure, get to knee on belly position, whatever I can. Like, those kind of invite those sort of like Granby escapes these days, because it's hard enough to pass your guard. So just try to time a good counter with those.
Yeah.
And then I'm sure you're giving him a good lesson here in getting heel exposure before going to outside.
Yeah, and using that knee as a shield in that outside Ashi position, flaring out the right knee, and then trying to invert in order to exactly expose my heel instead of letting me come up. Yeah, that's the tutorial we're talking about there. I like that breakdown. That was really good.
From Gavin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then you tried the thing I'm very unsuccessful at, but reaching around and trying to grab the ankle, the outside of the ankle.
Yeah, right. I guess I did it earlier.
You did it earlier.
Yeah.
There.
Justin's good at doing that. Like, Justin was the first one who ever pulled that off on me successfully. I think he was probably the first one who ever did it, period. And it just kind of threw me for a loop.
The trick.
Go ahead.
That the trick that I've picked up on, because I watched the Craig Jones instructional on that, is to go elbow deep down to the ankle and go out wide. If you go down to the knee, they have way too much leverage and you won't be able to hold them. But I mean, I'm saying that I still can't do it very well because people just basically slide my elbow to their knee or whatever, and then I lose it.
Yeah, I also just like to throw on a heavier strangle if someone's doing that to me. Like, their hands are not attacking the seatbelt position. So
right.
my strangle arm, which is normally, you know, the arm, it's gonna be the one over the shoulder that is nearest to me, and I'm just sending it through a little bit harder. That gives him a reason to maybe let go of my leg, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, Craig kind of couples that movement with like what I'll call it that Daniel side control, to where he goes in elbow deep on the ankle, twists the leg outward, and then pressures backward into you in order to end up looking up, you on bottom, if that makes sense. So his back to your chest, but completely perpendicular. Okay. And I know what he does, but I haven't been able to successfully pull it off.
Yeah. So one thing I got out of this round with Chris is, I think, if you think back to when Chris started with us, he was pretty content to like start seated and like play from
right.
You know, a De La Riva position, whatever. He didn't really hang out on the feet too much. Right off the bat, through the beginning of this, he lays on this collar tie and just does not let go. And I think he's starting to get more comfortable working from the feet.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Chris watches this or not, but if he's, I feel like he's starting to open up more to the stand-up game, which I really love to see.
He's a quick study. Like he picks up on things.
And just because I think we've talked about it with Josh, this is a good example of just using the front headlock, even a guillotine threat. Like I don't have a good guillotine here, but I do have control of the head. Chris is doing a good job pressuring me to my right side, where I need that hand to connect to my left hand to actually work the guillotine. So since I know I don't have a good, strong attempt at a guillotine, I just use the control of the head to come up to a standing position. So you see I kind of scoot away, get my hips out, pull my legs back, technical lift up, and then just take a top position from there. So you guys don't always, if you get a good, a good guillotine, a promising guillotine, go ahead and work it. But if you think for some reason you might not be able to get to the angle you need, don't give up on it. The front headlock, submission or not, the front headlock is a very, very useful position. I like that Haley isn't shy about trying to come up to a standing position either. Like
oh yeah,
she's like, this, I don't need to just work from my butt to do jiu-jitsu.
No, she comes after you too.
Yeah, it seems like this evening she really gravitated towards triangles and arm bars. So now it's back to the age-old battle of how do I get past Chris's guard? What method do I choose? Just because I've been working with
Arse.
Yeah, eventually. Because I've been working with Cole a lot on the split squat stuff, I was just trying to work from there too. But Chris does a really great job of making it very difficult for me to get that top knee outside, right? Like getting my knee elbow connection. You could see even here, I have my right elbow and my right knee, they're probably touching right now, but that knee is still in the way. Like it's still bothering me to the point where I can't, like I haven't fully gotten it out of the picture. So now I'm deciding to go up around the head, controlling the head, and looking to set up with either the threat of an arm-in guillotine and then eventually a Darce. But I find that this often with Chris has to be the method I use, like using an attack on the head, the threat of submission to get past the guard. So now I lock up the Darce. I can't get to the position I like to finish, which is fully to mount. So I decide to just keep the leg entanglement and then finish it the way Danny typically finishes it, Danny or Luke, with just the leg entanglement and then hipping in from there. And then I was trying to do the false reap stuff with Chris too.
Yeah.
He actually did a really great job of keeping his right heel down. I was trying to pull him towards me or push him away just to like get his balance off. But he made it really difficult to capture his leg.
But you got it there. Well, you basically backed off the leg and then slid it underneath instead of pressuring into him.
Yeah, we just went to a more standard position. Because
he sat that adjustment.
He sat to his butt, so there was no option for me to like lift his leg over at that point. So it was get my leg out of the way and then just try to collect.
Yeah.
And then
the nice thing is, yeah. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say now it's all about gathering the second leg until I can either control his escape, throw an attack on the secondary leg, or get heel exposure. So, and this is exactly that right now. And I spoke about this with Austin yesterday because Austin's taking an interest in cross ashi right now. And we were talking about these like crossed up leg positions. So Austin, if you're watching or if you watch this later, I'm not quite in the position we talked about where I have Chris's leg. What you did to me, Austin took my secondary leg and crossed it all the way over so that my legs were completely X'd up over his chest, or at least he was trying to get to that. I don't have that, but I have his leg close enough to where I start attacking. He pulls the leg away, and as soon as he does, with no hesitation, because that's really what I'm looking for the whole time, I go for the primary leg. So, a feint of a straight ankle, shouldn't say a feint, try to straight ankle him. Make it worth fighting against. And when he does, immediately go for your heel hook. I think one big picture thing for Haley to work on. It looks to me like she has a decent submission vocabulary. She knows the subs. She knows what a guillotine looks like, what a triangle looks like, this and that. It's going to be picking one and honing in on it for a little while.
Yeah.
That way, when she goes for, let's say, a guillotine, it doesn't look like this, where it's a reach. There's no real positional control. The old jiu-jitsu adage of position before submission, it means a lot, and like this is just a good example of it. So like it's good to know all these different submissions and to be able to kind of like throw them up, chain them together, all that stuff. Haley, you're just gonna have to work on like some of the finer points of like the steps just before the actual finish, right? And once you get that, a lot of those moves will come a lot more cleanly. When do we get to see Mike bleed?
Next round.
I'm gonna be like an annoying Instagram reel and say, wait till the end.
Like and subscribe.
Anytime I see a reel that says wait to the end, I immediately skip it. I hate it. Clickbaiting BS.
If it's longer than like 20 seconds,
yeah, you'll never believe
skip.
What happens next. That's Andrew and Caleb. Yeah, we don't even get a full 6 minutes on this round. Caleb, you look a lot more comfortable on your feet. Ah, all right, there we go.
It was a good reversal, though.
Yeah.
It was a good initiated one from Andrew.
Yeah, just didn't get his own base back. Nothing's happening. There we go. I actually didn't see the strike, the initial impact.
I watched it twice. I couldn't see it. I felt it, but I didn't see it.
That's good. That's really good. And I know you and Danny have been putting in work with standing around, so it's paying off for both of you. So from here, Joe, yes, there we go. I was gonna say, make sure your upper body grip is good. Disengage from the legs, and then try to get to a better lower body connection.
So here I'm trying to attack cross ashi. I've got my left leg was crossed up in between his legs, and I was going to try and roll through. So then I was trying to figure out how I was going to get back into that position here, and as he came across into the front, I have no idea which knee hit me. It had to have been the right, like the trailing leg. Nope, it was the left leg.
Yeah, I guess it was right there. He clips you. Right here, maybe?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yep. That's what it was.
I mean, it looks like it barely touched you. Your face is just made of scar tissue.
It pretty much is. Yeah, that's true.
What about here? No, knees on the outside. It had to be like right here.
You know what? You're right. It was further back because I took the hit and then I was like, oh, I'm fine. And then we just kept going. And then I felt like I was crying, like I was tearing up. So I went and like touched my nose or whatever. And I was like, fuck. And that's when I showed him like from underneath, like I was still,
I feel like
I think it was right here. Yeah.
Yeah, because it looked like you guys paused there and you were like, no, I'm good.
Yep. That's what it was.
So it's your left eye, so the top eye at some point gets hit here. Let's see if there's, I don't know. Either way.
I felt fine until, like I said, it started dripping. I was like, this probably is not sanitary.
Such a long... I mean, it looked like... Was it a scratch or a cut?
You know, I don't know. I just put super glue on it.
Yeah.
And went on my way.
There we go. There's a nice view.
But it was my left eye. It was...
Yeah,
It was... Yeah.
Just quickly spread across your face. Start doing 5-pound eyebrow curls. It's from the physical therapist of the group. So
yeah, I have to. He healed my shoulder. I'll do that for my eyebrows.
Yeah.
Be fixed right up.
Cool. Good stuff, guys. Yeah, really, really great rounds. Really great progress that you guys are making with all the stuff you're working on. I love to see it. If he dies, he dies. Century, if you're still in the chat, thanks for hanging out, man. Please keep on coming back. Always happy to chat with you. Yeah. Ask questions and all that good stuff. So in any case, if you're just lurking, follow us here. We really appreciate the support. I think we're up to 171 followers now, so super cool. And if you like what you're doing, you can subscribe as well. Thank you, Joe. You can subscribe with your Twitch Prime. Costs you nothing. Helps out the channel quite a bit, or any of the other submission tiers or subscription tiers. Subscribe over at YouTube as well, where we'll post this for you guys to review. And let's see, couple weeks out from June 3rd, Naga in Hickory. So if you guys are doing that, make sure you're signed up. Let us know, all that good stuff. This weekend, promotion ceremony on Saturday. Bring your gis, or at the very least a belt, but bring your gis because I'm sure we'll want to take some good photos. So please show up, come support. you know, even if you don't get a promotion, support all of your training partners who do, and that's what makes us a good team. And then hang out afterwards for a cookout. So, what else? Anything else?
I think so. I think you pretty well covered it.
All right. Good stuff. Well, we will see you guys back on the mat soon. In the meantime, go trim your nails and do your laundry. Don't be stinky, and we'll see you then.
Later.
See ya.